Welcome to episode 3 of the Saltwater Beginner's Guide, where I show you how to set up a reef tank in a very simple way. In the first episode we went over the equipment, which is basically just a tank, a canister filter and a freshwater LED light. And we also made a hardscape out of Reef Rocks. In the second episode I showed you how to make your own saltwater, we added in the live sand and we added in some beautiful macroalgae. Okay guys, 13 days have passed since we filled up the tank with salt water and added the macroalgae. And this is the current state. As you can see, we have quite a bit of brown algae in diatoms. Looks a bit ugly, but yeah, this is just kind of just part of the startup phase. Really normal. Not really much you can do about it. You just kind of have to go through this phase. Exactly the same in fresh water as well. So for the past 13 days, I haven't really done much. I've been ghost feeding the tank, just dropping in a little bit of fish food just to build up some ammonia and some nutrients. I have been almost daily dosing beneficial bacteria, so Seachem stability in this case. And I did one more round of the nitrate and phosphate from Seachem as well, just to kind of fertilize the macroalgae. I haven't cleaned the glass, I haven't cleaned the substrate, just wanted to keep it dirty just so I can show you guys, that this is what you can expect. Oh no, I did some top up as well because the water evaporates quite quickly. So I just top up the tank with just pure RO water. You don't want to top up the tank with salt water because as the water evaporates, the salt stays in the tank. So as the water evaporates, the salinity kind of like slightly increases. So if you were to add more salt water, the salinity would just keep rising, and you definitely don't want that. So I think we're now ready to start adding some life to this tank. We basically just need a cleanup crew to take care of all this algae for us. So I actually just went to the store and I picked up a whole bunch of snails. So in this container we actually have, I think, 4 or 5 different types of snails. They all kind of have their own purpose. So I'm going to start acclimating them, and then after we release them we can just talk a little bit more about the different types. Now another thing I picked up at the store is 2 bags of these copepods. These are just tiny crustaceans, and I think most people just buy them as like a live food source for the fish because they're really nutrient rich. But they're also really good for just cycling the tank and just kind of enhancing the biodiversity, I guess. So these little crustaceans, they also eat algae, they also eat waste organics. So whenever you're cycling a tank, it's always good to add some copepods as well. So if you just turn off the filter, and hopefully that way I can kind of give these copepods a chance to just establish in the tank and not all get sucked up in the filter. It's totally fine if they do end up in the filter, but yeah, we want some in the tank as well. So I'll overlay a clip again of how the tank looked on day 1 and then versus now. But I think the macroalgae has definitely grown quite a bit already, especially the Caulerpa in the background. Also the Caulerpa taxifolia over here. Already sending out new runners and stuff like that. We have a little bit of melt as well. Above this green leaf there's like a whitish leaf, so that's like a melted macroalgae leaf. That's totally fine. Whenever you're doing a maintenance session, you just remove the old growth. On this side as well, a few melted leaves, but that's totally normal. You can see here that the Caulerpa is starting to just grow runners and spread out. It's good. It's a good sign. So the snails have been acclimating for like 30 minutes, so the temperatures are now matching. I'm going to take them out of this container, move them into the tank. I don't want to add the water from the shop into my tank, so I'm just going to keep that separate. And after I've moved out all of the snails, I'll discard the water. So first up, right on glass, we have 3 Trochus snails. These guys are really good at cleaning the glass and also just cleaning the rocks. So that's kind of their purpose. Then these 2 over here, the white ones, these are called Nasarius snails. And these are a type of like sand sifting snails. So these guys will really dig themselves into the sand bed, and that way they will just keep it really nice and clean. The one guy that's lying on his back here is also a sand sifting snail. I think this is called a Babylonian snail. This one, same thing as the Nasarius, he would kind of just dig himself into the sand bed, keep that nice and clean. And lastly, over here we have a turbo snail. Actually not sure if I had this one before, but apparently this one is also just, in general, just really good at eating algae. So if you have a hair algae outbreak, for example, turbo snails are just absolute monsters. They'll just devour it in a couple of hours. So even if they fall on their backs, sort of on the back of the shell, they should be able to, upright themselves. Might take a few minutes, but here we go. 2 days have passed and the snails did an amazing job on cleaning the algae, and the tank is looking much better already. I think now is a good time to start adding in a few corals. In my other reef tank, some of the corals are getting a bit too big, so I'm going to show you how to trim them, or as they say it in proper reef terms, we're going to frag a coral. This one right here is called a Kenya tree. It is one of the easiest corals you can keep. And just by touching it with the scissors, you can already see that it is starting to close up and become a bit smaller, and this makes cutting it a lot easier. As for the actual cutting, just make sure you use some very sharp scissors. I'm now going to take some of the cuttings or frags and attach them to something heavy with elastic bands. When you take these corals out of water, they start producing a slime coat, which makes gluing them very difficult, so the elastic bands usually work quite well. Now we can move the cuttings to the new tank. I'm just going to place them in the gaps in the rocks, and hopefully in a few weeks the corals will attach themselves to the rockwork. The next day our Kenya tree frags were looking happy and healthy, so I decided to add a few more corals. I have a nice colony of these yellow polyps or parazoanthus, and I also have a nice group of these Palitoa grandes. Okay guys, now a little disclaimer, especially because it is a beginner guide, I kind of feel like it is my duty to inform you guys and to warn you guys as well. So some corals can be toxic, and I think in this case it's the two that I just added on the right, so the Palitoa, and there's another one, I don't know the exact name. But in general, some corals in the zoanthid family can be highly toxic. Not just, you're gonna have a little rash or some irritation, not like actually deadly toxic. So yeah, make sure you inform yourself about corals before you set up your own saltwater tank. It's not like, this can happen out of nowhere. I think that toxin is only released when corals are like highly irritated, like if you would take them out, you would like cut them with a knife or something, or just damage them in a severe way. So yeah, just make sure you inform yourself properly. And if you handle these corals, make sure to wear some protective eyewear or something. But yeah, on a little lighter note, I think the tank is starting to look really good. It's now been a week since I've added in the snails and a couple of days since adding in the corals, and everything is looking as I kind of expected. So all the corals have opened up, the snails are constantly out and about, most of the brown algae is already gone. So yeah, happy with the progress. And I also like that we're taking it slow, It kind of just resembles a real life situation. Like nobody's gonna set up a full-blown reef tank in a week. We're just taking it slow, every week buy a new coral, every week buy a new fish, something like that. Yeah, I like where this is going. At the time of filming, I'm actually going away for a week, so I'm leaving tomorrow, coming back in a week. So I'm very curious to see how the tank is going to look after 1 week of neglect. Not going to do anything. I have just topped off the tank, so it should be okay. I'm not going to add an auto top off for 7 days, so I think it'll be okay. Yeah, I think that's it for this episode. Next episode is probably going to take another 3, maybe 4 weeks, but that one is going to be really exciting. Then we're finally going to add fish, maybe a bunch more corals. Yeah, let's see what's going to happen. Guys, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.